Markets for NFTs continue to climb. So we hit record highs in trading volume and average prices over the weekend. Trading volume of NFTs on Ethereum is up 338% from the equivalent week in the previous month, and that's according to OKLink, while OpenSea saw record-breaking trading volume in the past 2 days. So the headlines were very extreme at the beginning of this year. We had the $69 million Beeple. There were tens of millions of dollars being thrown all over the place. I think we predicted time and time again that this was going to fizzle out, but we keep seeing record highs, not only in trading volume, but in investments from VCs and also retail investments. So I'm going to kick this off to you, Danny. What did you take away
Danny
from the story?
Danny is frozen, so I'll jump in first.
Yeah. Naomi, what did you take away from this story?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we do. You hit the nail on the head when we keep predicting the fizzle out of this market, and then we just keep hitting record-breaking highs, which is fascinating to me. You know, it's interesting, and I mean, I've mentioned it before. I'll go back to it again, but Adam Levine's analogy about NFTs is just so spot on, right? Where he says, we started out, it's basically NFTs are like this key, and first of all, we figured out how to paint the key, but we haven't quite figured out like what to do with it. We are starting to see that expand, but what's interesting to me is that it isn't that expansion that seems to be leading all of these like record highs. It's still that traditional, like, how do you paint the key? Like the art world, marketplaces. So that's really interesting to me and very unexpected. But Danny, go to you. What are your thoughts on this NFT record breaking week?
Well, now that I've my camera feed is unthawed, I do think that this is a sign like that, we really do have to pay attention to NFTs. They're popping up everywhere. Lollapalooza just had an NFT, that big music festival in Chicago. You're seeing a whole lot of activity from CryptoPunks, but there are just so many different projects out there that are pushing up volume and pushing up transactions. We're seeing more volume than we did at the peak in March and April, but in terms of daily transactions, that number is still far down below that peak. So we are not seeing as massive a push across all NFTs and probably more activity among the most valuable ones. But I do think that NFTs as a medium are probably, they have a lot longer legs than even I thought just a couple of weeks ago.
Do you think that some of this has to do with like the augmentations in the market due to inflation, and people are just looking for places to park their cash and they're not quite sure what to do with it? They're probably diversified into other asset classes and they're just thinking like NFTs, that's the next asset class. I need to, I need to put my money in something that potentially could get me back my money later on, because this seems to be a fairly liquid marketplace. People seem to be, buying and selling these NFTs. They're like collectibles. Perhaps this is something that could hold the value of my money. Like, do you think that's playing into it, or is this just like a new craze that's a novelty and people are just still testing the waters?
Well, I think that it might be true, but really only among the crypto rich. Like if you're a traditional investor and you're looking to diversify your assets, I don't think we're at the point yet where you're going to be putting $1 million into a pixelated head. Maybe next year.
That brought me to my next question. Is it just the crypto rich or the rich who are participating in NFTs? We saw Gary Vee bought a CryptoPunk for just over $3 million. Late last week, I think it was announced that happened. And I mean, there was a story about Mila Kunis last week. She has a new show coming out where to watch the show, you have to buy an NFT of one of the characters. And that's $750 for an NFT that grants you access to watch a show. And for me, that still feels a little bit expensive to watch a show when you can pay $10 a month and watch Netflix. So is it still the uber rich that are fueling this? And how do we get to a place where everyone can participate in NFTs? I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, George.
I don't know if I necessarily have thoughts on that in particular, but I actually agree with everything you guys are saying. A lot of where I spend my time is mostly focused on Bitcoin, and that's why I have sort of a side-eye view to what's going on in the NFT world. And I think you pointing out Mila Kunis getting into this, and the people that are getting involved are these media people and or entertainment figures that are kind of bringing legitimacy to the NFT world. While I don't think it's necessarily a place you would look to now to store your value, there's a couple of iterations down the road where NFTs might actually represent real digital ownership of, I don't know, a show. And maybe it wouldn't be $750 for the show. Maybe when it becomes more of a widespread thing, maybe it's $5. You can own your favorite Game of Thrones character or whatever.
For sure. And I do think it mimics the traditional art world in terms of that hype. Like when you buy a nice vase, you could buy two vases that probably look very similar. One of them could be like $1 million. One of them could be from IKEA. And the difference obviously is going to come from the name of the artist and maybe who's bought the vase before and which gallery it was being sold at and all of this. And so that hype factor in art is a big factor. I think that's really playing into the NFT world where you got the Mila Kunises of the world jumping on board and the Paris Hiltons jumping on board and saying like, this is this great thing and I stand by it and it's something that I created, and everyone's like, I want to own something that they had. Like, I don't understand that mentality, but I get why it may be attracted to some people, and I do think it's people probably with a lot of money right now. But we'll see, as we said, where this evolves and what kind of use cases we see evolving in the future for NFTs.